Progress.
Thank you, Xanadu, whoever you are. All right, I'm going to, I'll minimize this. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get back to my computer now. See, it's been a little while since I've done this. Give me a second here. All right, here we go. Here we go. So all of our stuff is in our Canvas site. So what you can see now, if you watch this recording, it's going to show you like a PowerPoint, like whatever I've got on the computer screen, but my little ugly face is going to be in the corner up there. And so I've got this camera kind of tracking me right now. I'm going to try to, I'm going to have to adjust it here in a minute. We have to adjust it. Somebody's been in there playing with stuff. You can tell. Okay, hang on. Let's see if I can move this camera just a little bit. There we go. Tell me if I show up. There we go. Okay, Pat Robbins showed up. There we go. There we go. All right. So that way y'all can exactly see if I'm standing over there. Okay. So what you want to do is go to Canvas, go to our Northwest website, and go down to Canvas. Okay. And this is for my lady, and this will be here today. What I'll do is I'll put these in modules, this one in modules, and I may tape them as we go, just for y'all if y'all want me to do that. It just takes a little bit more work. Okay, but what I did this last school year is I have actually been to do this for years, and I just never did it. So I get this computer. I just taped every freaking chapter already. So last year I spent the whole year recording every lecture. So instead of me trying to do it real fast, I would just go to my office and record chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? So I might even want to do y'all with real people in the room where you can ask questions. And then when we got in the spring, I had enough classes. You know, we had the COVID where I would just, we met, you know, I met with one class once a week. So we would normally meet 3 times. I would have like 6 of those, and I just would stop it at one, and the next day I would record the next right where I stopped. So it is a sequence there that I think works. Okay. I'm really excited about that. And I checked the links and they did work. So here's my dashboard, and I tried everything, figuring out why hers wasn't working. But one of the problems y'all may have is when you go to courses, if you don't have it highlighted, you need to go down here to all courses. So if you see one, it's not like you can't find lab or lecture. Okay. Now I just turned lab on a while ago too. Do not mess with the homework yet. I'm still working on some of that. Okay. But you can tell we're in the lecture 251301. Okay. And so here is the home page, and I kind of changed the pictures. So, because sometimes when you're looking at those names, I'm in lab, I'm in lecture. Okay. So there's some methods of madness. This is an old picture when I weighed 100 pounds less. I fluctuate up and down in my weight, but this is Angels Landing out in Zion National Park. So I will give you some free travel tips as we do this course this summer. I'm a big national parks person, and this is like the, I think the coolest, my favorite park of all, okay? Because it's kind of small, it's very intimate, and nobody knows about it, okay? And so this is actually at the top of a place called Angels Landing, where you have to walk up this rock trail. And you can see like right here's where we came from. And so you had to come all the way up this thing. And the Mormon religious people found this place as far as the Europeans. Okay, so they named everything biblical. So they named it Zion, and they called this Angels Landing because this is where they thought the angels would come down from heaven and walk down these stairs to the land. Pretty cool. And so it's really, it's probably, I went to the Goose game last night with a guy talking about, I used a lot of this stuff in class. He's a doctor, he's a MD, pediatric internal medicine in Boonville, Mississippi, named Nathan Baldwin, and we met the first year of community college in 1982, and we've been best friends since then. I'm best man at his wedding, and I think he was in my wedding, or should have been on his way when in my wedding, but anyway, but I was in his wedding. But really good friend of mine. I get a lot of my medical stories from him. Okay, so I will use a lot of applications since all of y'all are wanting to be nurses and stuff. But me and him did this a couple of years ago and loved this. He thinks this is one of the best trails. It's about 5 miles uphill, which he's done some 40-mile trails and stuff. And we and him also did Half Dome, which was 24 miles in one day. But that was about, I was that thin then. But now I probably couldn't make it. But anyway, but he thinks that's the best bang for the buck. Okay, so if you ever go out there, it's about an hour and a half from Vegas. So you can fly to Vegas. We flew from Memphis to Vegas, was on top of this mountain before dark and came down before dark. Pretty cool. But within a day, one day you can be there. Okay, now where you see the stuff over here, I have not turned on this, but I did want to show you a couple of cool things. Okay, first thing right off the bat here is our textbook is over here in red shell. Okay, and I did check this yesterday, it's in there, And you have to scroll down because it's got all my classes in here. Of course, go down to A&P, and here is the textbook right here. Click on that. And so you can pull the book down to your computer here. You can access it right here. There's also a book inside of the Pearson homework. So you can download this book to your laptop, and y'all can bring a laptop in here, okay? And run a power cord or whatever. She's already helped yourself to power cord. Anyway, but y'all gonna need that to see have the book, right? With you in class. Because now here's another one that I want y'all to know about. As you'll see in a minute, we are really close to Pearson, and there's some perks to being close to certain companies. Now, I actually went to Grizzly games with a McGraw-Hill rep, who's a good friend of mine, but we have done some work for Pearson, and when we adapted this book about 4 years ago, about 7 years ago, we were able to get them to give y'all a paper copy, a loose leaf color paper copy for $1, okay? And I wanted to make it a penny, and I'm just going to go big money over and go give them $50 for the next 20 years, right? The bookstore manager was a friend of mine, too, a good friend of mine. I taught him years ago. But they had to, I think they could do less than $1, in their what they were. So anyway, so they make $1. I mean, but anyway, so if you want a paper copy of the book, don't buy it on Northwest Book Exchange for $50. Somebody just smoked you for $50, right? It's $1 over. Did you get it for $1? Excellent. So go to the bookstore, and I would just bring it that way. Now, I'm a paper guy myself. I'm old school. You can mark it up and all. But I will tell you, those of y'all that are really more digital, young folks. I mean, some of y'all young people are more digitally into that. The ebook I'm going to show you in a minute inside the course is even better because you can hit a button. It'll go to the video defining that word. You know, it's an interactive book. Okay, so you can use any one of them. But like I said, I would go get that for $1 if nothing else. To draw on, or we can make paper planes with or whatever. I mean, it's really pretty paper planes with that. Right? I think nice paper. Okay, but anyway, you can do that. Okay, now to get to the online homework that we're going to have, and I'm going to have online homework. Here's the code. You have to click here, and that's the code for this semester. So what you want to do is just like copy them. And I'm sorry, I'll cool it down a little bit. Let me cut the hair off a little bit. We warm it up just a little bit. And I'm sorry, y'all. I am fat. I know that. But even when I'm thin, I like it cold because you can always put clothes on at school, but you can't take clothes off at school. That's when I get fired, right? Y'all start walking around here naked, it get really weird. Okay, so everybody keep clothes on, right? Bring a jacket. She's got a jacket, right? She already been worn, right? She's brought a jacket. It actually gonna rain today, right? So that's a smart lady here. She brought a jacket. I'll warm it up a little bit for y'all. But what you do is just copy this, and then you can take it over to My Lab and Mastering just one time, put that code in, and then you're good to go. Okay. So why don't I just walk you through that real quick. Now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do this morning. Since we have the code, I may stop about 15, 20 minutes before we get through. And we'll just, look, this is what's really fun about summer school. There's 2 classes in this building right now. Us and college algebra. So basically, we got everything we want, okay? There's a computer lab right above me in 206. We just all walk up there and log in and get this homework thing done, right? That way everybody, because I found that to work way better because, then there'll be that one kid about 2 weeks in like, homework? What you talking about? Online homework? And I'm like, God, we went on our birthday. Okay, but anyway, but copy that. Let me show it to you, okay? Then go here, and then you'll open My Lab and Mastering. And then when y'all do it, it's going to make you set up an account. Now, if you've had an account before with Pearson or whatever, it will make you write in your email and all that stuff, and then put that code in. Do not use your credit card in this course ever, okay? Do not pay for anything. Everything's already paid for. Except the lab book. Okay, but I'm just saying, but as far as because you go here and what would you could say? Hey, put the credit card in here, man, to get access. No. That's the code. So you've already paid for that. So when y'all pay tuition, we tie the book into the tuition so that everybody has the book on the first day. Okay, and even if you're having financial aid and hadn't all worked out something, we want everybody to have the book first day because what happens is in the past, our people that are on financial aid, because there's a lot of people maybe like me, I was the first person to graduate college in my family. If you roll up here in August, you're not going to have financial aid, right? It ain't going to come in like March, September, October, right? It's not instantaneous. Well, then they would have a book to midterm and then they fail. So we're setting them up for failure, right? So I was a big pusher for the ebooks because it gives everybody access to the first day. And then that $1, man, go ahead and get that thing for $1, right? And it's really cool. Okay, now when you go to this, what I usually go to is just go on to the part where it says, hold on, let me find it here. Actually, I picked the wrong one here. I usually don't even go to that page. Here's what I go to. I'll just go back to what I normally do. I think this is the quickest way to get to it. Just go to where it says homework. I can find it. Oh, here's the e-text. There, go in there, and there is that e-text book here. So you can view it inside the My Lab and Mastery. Now, I got to go ahead and apologize to them right now. And I am actually noticing high-level people at Pearson. They need to change the name of their online product. Their online homework is called My Lab and Mastery. I have begged them just to call it Mastering. But they said, but it's like you're going to study lab. But you know, if you're in a science class, we have real lab, right? And that confuses me, right? If I say go to my lab, I mean, you may walk up to 206, which is our 207, our lab, right? So anyway, they need to take the My Lab off of it, okay? But there's the e-textbook. I'm trying to find the daggum assignments. Very embarrassing here that I can't get to them off the main thing. Okay, maybe it's over here. There we go. There's assignments. Okay. Should have them in order here. Okay, and let me just. I don't play enough with this. Hang on. Let me just start over. Sometimes you just got to start over. I could get my tabs down here. Hang on. Okay, if you'll just go from back, I'm back in Canvas here. If you're in Canvas, just go down to Mastering Assignments. See that this is a quick link. Okay. And here they are. Shouldn't be that complicated. So here they are in order of things to do. So we got stuff to do on the second. Let's come on. We're not playing. Okay. We cannot play in here, right? We're gonna go roll in. Because what I want to do in a perfect world, I would like to be able to do some of these little simple, you know, push and drag, or, you know, multiple choice, short questions, little videos in here before we cover chapter 2. So I've got chapter 2 due tonight. Okay. Actually, I got to do it 10:25 right before class tomorrow. So when you get up tomorrow morning 5:30, she should go. I'm picking on you. Don't get mad at me, right? You know, I love you. Okay. So she can get up to her mastering right before class, fresh on her mind. What we have found out, guys, if you do this like tonight or tomorrow morning, it may be even better to do it right before class. You know what we're talking about that day. Makes the class go so much better, right? Than if you went to the Grizzlies game last night and I didn't have anything to drink, but had 12 beers and got a hangover day, right? It makes it very difficult, right? Okay, you know what I'm saying. So y'all are taking this real intensive class, so you got to stay on top of it. But you can see the DSMs are real simple. They're all available. You can work ahead on them, but I have due dates on the day we're supposed to be covering that topic, okay? Which, while that's up here, y'all can see I jump around a little bit. I'm going to call row simple. We still got somebody still looking for the building right? So here is the tentative. I still have to do paper. And I did just upload this morning to the website. I bet somebody's already emailed me. I just got fall or spring in there, right? But I had to update it. And I meant to put the lab on the back of this, and guess what I did? I forgot, so I killed another pine tree, and I'll give you another one for that. And I made this wrong one, I have another one for y'all, so you have it, you know, you can take, put this on the steering wheel or something, you know what we're doing for day or whatever. Okay? Good block. Now this is online too, on the module, okay? But so today we're doing introduction, chapter 1, and blah, 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 blah. And you can see this thing goes real quick, right? Real fast. Okay, I may pull this up in a second, but let me finish this. So does everybody kind of see where the homework goes? We can do that. And we may go do that real quick, okay? Because there could be some kind of glitch. You may have an old account. You may have to make a new account with a new email. So sometimes it gets weird, but if you've already used Pearson products, it should recognize you, okay? If you remember the passwords on that. And you just stay up with these. And then we have these big ones. See how all that works, right? Different ones of these. We've got a lot of those we do, but the DSMs are very quick, okay? Now I'm going to go back to something else here immediately.
Are the study modules, are those graded?
All of this is graded. Yeah, all this counts. Yeah, actually, that's a great question.
That counts as homework, even though that they're study modules.
Yeah, don't worry about the names on them. Yeah, they're real short. They're very short. Those are pretty quick.
Okay.
So we got to kind of figure out how long these do it. The big one is the mastering assignments. They're a little bit longer. But these are very quick and drag or short answer questions. And you can use your book. I don't care what you do. Just don't all get together and do them together, because that kind of defeats the purpose, right? So it kind of sees what you know. If you're getting it, I wouldn't do these till I read chapter first. So right, I mean, and there's a big debate among us which one to do first. I think the DSMs are easier and they help you understand the assignments. But some people like to do the assignments first, and you can do them either way, because they usually, these are due on Saturday. You can make these due on Sunday at midnight. But I would have a little bit better scheme in a regular school year. So I spent quite a bit of time setting up the times on all this, as you can imagine.
Do we need to also submit these on Canvas as well, or just through this mastering?
No, all you gotta do is do it here and it will put the grades over there, okay, eventually. Okay, hang on here. The problem is, I know one of you expert computer people can probably tell me how to cut some of this stuff off. Okay, let me go back to this first page. I want to come back to that, okay? Because you make a very good question there, and I do. Those are very, very, very helpful ones. That up here. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Now, I've got all the information here. Let me show you where I keep everything in modules. I'm jumping around. So I actually panicked a while ago. If I seem very spastic now, part of it is I had a bunch of phone calls. It's been crazy. Trying to help kids, students find their classes and stuff. And then I thought I just better double check our class, and the whole course information was missing. So I was very quickly went back to fall and copied it very quickly. I was real proud of myself. I got it in there in like 2 seconds and updated the thing. But here is the standard, my outline of how we're going to do things. There's a standard syllabus that everybody taking A&P gets. This is kind of how I'm going to do your grades. But I got a quick way to show you that. We're not going to do discussion boards, so I can just never mind. I didn't do discussion board with y'all. We do discussion boards online.
You have to push up there at the top.
Thank you. I'm just getting it out of the way. Okay. We are going to scan some documents in Lab, but y'all going to send that to me. And to be honest with y'all, I'm still evolving this out, and I'll get y'all's feedback in just a minute on something. We may scan some stuff in here. And here is the outline I just give you in case you lose it. I got it on PDF and Word document. That's the one I just give you. Okay. And then don't worry about all this orientation mumbo jumbo, and there's our COVID mumbo jumbo. And here's like, do not buy a book. This course has an ebook. It's located on Red Shelf. I thought we might put that in there for people. There's how to do Red Shelf. Here's how to register the amount of mastering. You probably want to use Google Chrome. Even if you have an Apple laptop, I have an Apple home computer. It does not Safari. You'll do a diagram to drag and label, and it'll be no answers. Look, not to drag, but it'll be blank. Okay, so download. And I didn't know this. I'm not a computer super nerd, but I'm borderline. But Google Chrome, you can download Google Chrome and Safari, right, to your computer, and then just log it, turn on your Apple, and use that as your operating system. So you can run Google Chrome in an Apple machine. It's not a problem. Okay. But Google Chrome is what the Canvas works best with, and it's what the MyLab and Maxton works best with. And what's the other one? Firefox, Firefly, something like that, Fire something, okay? That one also works pretty good. Okay? Now, I've got weeks on here, but this is like, this is, I may go in there and delete those out of this class, because I mean, I got it set up for the whole, like 16-week semester that we're doing in 4 weeks. So I've got it broken down into just a chapter. But we have it modular, because this is how we do our online classes. If we're taking online classes, we set them up as modules, so you'll have certain due dates due. And all that. But let me show you a quick way to see the grades. Watch this. Now, this is something I learned this last year, so I'm always learning. But we have a thing here called, here it is, assignments. Okay, when y'all log in, this is what really messed us up teaching online. I teach some majors online. Is y'all go right to the calendar, and the calendar is messed up, always. So if you're taking online class in Northwest, do not go to calendar. Because we copy these courses from last semester, and sometimes it'll copy those dates in. And it freaks people out. It's like, that was you, April the 3rd. This is not fair. I mean, of course it's not right. Okay, you can't have an April 3rd deadline in the summer class, right? It's already past April. Okay, so just go to print the due dates, right, and keep that straight. And I've got these in there too. You can print those due dates to tell you what things to do. But we can look. This is assignments. This actually shows you how your grades are going to work. Those DSMs you just asking about, they're going to count 20% of your grade. So they're going to count like as a regular test. I would normally do like 6 tests in a normal school year, because this is a pretty intense thing. Okay, so all of those are going to count 20%, and they're out of order. I need to resort them. So they just, when you put them in here, I put them in here just a while ago. Okay, and they're all in that column. Okay, I think that's right. Okay, and then the master assignments are going to count 20% also. So those are a lot more expensive, right? Because there's only just a few of them. And look, I had a coworker build them, so the chapters, there's like 2 in a chapter. And so sometimes, we may be doing one, but what we do for the second chapter is due, right? But you can work on them, and you don't have to do them all at once. It's not like a quiz. You can work a while, cut it off, and you should remember where you're at. Okay, but I would highly recommend using a landline, and don't be like doing this homework while driving down the interstate, using the AT&T, right? Because sometimes it doesn't automatically, catch, so you can lose some homework you're doing, right? But if something happens and I have to reset things, I can, but I think you have to do one and then not be count, right? So just try to use a landline or real good Wi-Fi. Okay, and then this is what I fell into last year. And I thought I had done that. I think I may have done this at the MP2. But we had to figure, we only met 50 minutes last year, so I tried something a little bit different. I actually give out short answer questions for all my chapters in major biology, which is for pre-med doctors and pharmacists and stuff. And so when I got down to how we were going to do A&P, I just give them like a pretty big review sheet for midterm that I've already loaded up there for y'all. I just got 2 or 3 questions out of every chapter. So y'all need to go ahead and download that, print it. Now listen, this is kind of crazy, but I want you to write your answers out by hand. I don't want you to just send me a document somebody else did. So I want you to write the question, rewrite the question, write the answer, write your name on every page, and you're going to answer these questions. Now, I don't have them in class. Heck, some of you smart people can go find the chapters. I've already got them on there. You can watch me talking about it, and you can pull it right out of my mouth if you want to, right? But I want you to construct that review sheet, right? And I'm going to make it come to me before the midterm. So this is like, I think the midterms are like, let me just look. Well, let me guess, and I've got it right here. So our midterms are going to be June 10th and 11th. Actually, the 11th. And the 11th and the 14th, so Friday, Monday. I'm going to give you 2 midterms. One written, okay, and that's them questions, right? That I give you. And one is going to be online. But we're going to proctor it here. So you're not going to go home and have your uncle, the doctor, sit there and take it for it, right? So I'm going to proctor it up in the computer lab at 306, and we'll all come in that Monday. And all we're going to do on Monday the 14th is take that test, and we're going to call it a day. We don't have lab that day. Okay? Now, I would say most of y'all would take an hour, hour and a half, 15 minutes. I think I've got it set for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you can have a little more time. And that's actually the test we use for our online class. So online only has a midterm and final. They count 30% to each, and then all the homework is 40%. So I decided to use a similar layout. I'm going to count all the homework for 40%, right? And then our midterm, we're going to have 2 midterms and 2 finals, one written and one on computer, each count 15% of your grade. So you have a little bit more, flexibility. I'm not going to drop any of those. I have drop grades on all the homework stuff. The thing's going to happen, right? The computer's going to mess up, Wi-Fi's going to go down. So I usually give you enough drop grades. I already got 1 and everything on each of those. But I'll probably go back and give 3 or 4 of the DSM because there's a bunch of them, maybe up to 6. But I probably will find the other ones, the mastering, there's only 6 of them. I probably won't drop it 2 or 1 of them. I may just leave it at 1. Because there's only 6 of them. You do 2, 6, and that's like you're dropping 30% of the class. Okay? And I did this last fall during the COVID, and it worked out really good. Now, here's what I think happened. I think a lot of people made a C that shouldn't have no business in there. Okay, I mean, really honest, I think they made my C's a lot higher than normally. Okay, but still, I had a lot of A's and B's too, and then we still have some people that just won't do anything; they fail. I mean, okay. Now, when I say that, I'm not trying to be ugly, y'all. I'm trying to be real. Okay, I've got 2. I've had those 2 chemistry teachers leave, and then my best friend of 21 years, coworker, who was in my class 30 years ago, my first year teaching Northwest. He walked out of this building down here, and I was crying to picture him leaving last Friday. So I'm still a little bit emotional when your best friend of 21 years and a friend of 30 years retired, but he was 10 years older than me, walked in my class, retired out of the military, going blind, and they sent him back to be a teacher. And they was able to stabilize his eyes, so he didn't go blind. I still won't ride with him to Memphis, but he is a very good teacher, and he retired at 66 last Friday. Okay? So I've got a bunch of people to replace this summer, and y'all may see some interviews and stuff. I may have to work around y'all sometimes. I may be a little bit stressed, but I promise y'all my number 1 priority this summer and hire those teachers is number 2. Okay, but I've got to hire some people this summer. But one of the ladies I hired is a high school teacher. We had this long conversation. She is working in Shelby County, and they cannot fail the students. They cannot fail the students. My wife works in Shelby County. They could not. She teaches kindergarten. She's retired Mississippi teacher, and we're just double dipping. She's teaching up in Shelby County, and they could not make a kindergarten repeat the kindergarten. Because of COVID and politics and stuff, right? And then we have high schools in Mississippi where they have to pass everybody. Okay, now guys, look, I'm going to say this one time. I want to be open. Okay, I'm not trying to be open, but this is the reality of this. Okay, I have made a living here, and I've made a really good living here, teaching A&P. That has been what I was brought here to do, and I set up the labs, and I think that we've got a really good lab, because that was my thing, that I've been teaching lecture now for about 22 or 3 years. Everybody can't be a nurse, okay? Now, me and my wife have this philosophical argument all the time. I love her to death, y'all. She is a saint to live with me, because I know I must be very difficult to live with, okay? But she's taught every kindergartner at Centovia for 25 years, and at Memphis now, that you can be anything you want to be, and that's a lie. Okay, we got to get real. Everybody can't be president of the United States, right? And you want to know why? Because it ain't freaking mathematically possible. We have a 42 and 250 freaking years. Do the math. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be everything they want to be. I think you can be more than you think you can be if you use your God-given talents to 100%. And in all my teaching and in my walk of life so far, in these 56 years, I've only met a handful of people who give it 100%. One of the welder in Lee County that changed my life as a young boy driving a tractor on a dairy farm, hauling silage. We broke a wagon one day, and instead of running over me, it ran into the ditch, but it could have killed me, you know. And then he welded it back together, and the next day I'm driving it, and it fell together, and I went, pretty cool, pretty good man. That's pretty good. He knows his job. He does his job very, very well, and he made a really good living welding. And I told that story for about 30 years, and I went to a funeral home at home about 3 years ago and saw Mr. England, went over and told him that I mentioned him, and about 15,000 to 40,000 people heard his name, and I made an 85-year-old man cry. I told him how much he impressed me as a kid, and that his excellence is what I have tried to get people to achieve, right? And whatever they're doing. So what I'm asking y'all to do is give me 110%. And you may not be smart enough to be a nurse. You may not be. Okay. I had a young boy in here one time who was probably a genius. He probably made like a 30 on ACT in the 5th grade and ran into a light pole in a bad wreck and lost about maybe 10-20% of his brain. He could not function to the level he needed to do. But I'll tell you what I did. I didn't cry in front of him, but he made a C, and I cried because it's the best damn C I've ever seen. He gave me 110% of what he had left. Okay. And I begged him to go into counseling or be one of these gurus on TV, self-help gurus or whatever, because he worked so freaking hard. Okay. And I had another boy that was blind, literally blind, and he had this reader, and he got a B in histology, and he ain't never seen no tissue. Still ain't seen them. But I would describe them to him, and he knew them by description. Now, and I told him, but after I got to know him, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I said, you know you can't be a surgeon, right? You won't be a doctor. I said, you cannot be a surgeon because you're blind, dude. I mean, you cannot see to operate. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, maybe we can make artificial eyes right now, but you got to go in something else. And you can't drive school bus either, by the way. But I said, but you could be a psychiatrist, or you could be, something like that, where it's more of a mental thinking and stuff like that, and we're improving stuff with technology. But so I'm not trying to disclude anybody or make anybody feel bad. Okay, but here's the reality: we lose about 30% of the people taking A&P1. Our withdrawal DF or withdrawal rate is about 30%, maybe higher sometimes. Now it's usually not that high in summer because y'all are probably better, more motivated. Y'all may have paid for this. You know what I'm saying? Or you're trying, you have a plan, some of y'all have a very well planned, you know what you want to do in your life. Okay, but you probably haven't been taught how to study yet in high school, unless you went to a really good school. Because what we're seeing is y'all have not been taught how to study, y'all been taught how to learn 30 words out of a word bank, right, for a test, right, and you were told you're a rock star and you got to talk. And the reality is, if you'll work with me, I promise you, I may make you mad, you may hate me when it's over, but I can make you a student. I can make you know how to study. Okay, I think I can help you. But you got to get there. And then if you get in nursing school, they lose about another 25% of them in the first year. So if you don't have the material, or you don't have now here's the other thing, and I looked around this room, I haven't checked everybody's ACT. I probably got the lowest ACT in the room. Very possible I got the lowest ACT score. So you have to have an 18 to take this, right? Unless you've had, already had some biology classes, right? I made 21, 81, 82 after football. I took it one time in high school, like junior, and we played football Friday night, probably went out partying, and then rolled in there, probably had a hangover that morning, and, took the test one night, made 21. Which will probably be about it. I think that's about add 3 to it. That's probably 24 now. Because they modified it. Because people felt bad when they made 9. So nobody, I've never seen, hasn't seen over 10 in 50 years, 20 years. Okay. I'm just saying, no, you can't, if you make a 10, man, it's like far as gone, right? I'm just saying, right? Now, hey, Forrest Gump did some great stuff in his life, right? You can still do something great. I'm not running you down. I'm just saying, I wanted to be, guess what? Okay, I'm being real brutal. Guess what my childhood dream was to be? Now, I'm in therapy, I'm good. Where'd I go last night? I want to be an NBA basketball player.
Oh, you're going to say a referee.
Yeah, so I could be against people in online, yeah. Now, my wife got mad at me last night because my daughter's favorite player on the Grizzlies is JJ Jackson. JJ Jackson needs to learn how to play basketball because he's got the best body I've ever seen since Kevin Garnett. But he ain't got the brain to figure it out yet. Still not giving up on him, but I did tell him to shoot 3 pointers last night. Because he was 2 for 11. And we lost by like 3 points. Well, you just not shoot a few of them and shoot your mid-range, but you hit, and then we win the game, right? I'm just saying. Anyway, do your best. Okay. And hey, I stumbled into teaching and I love it. I'm so glad God sent me that into this. Okay. I love teaching this stuff. But y'all need to know that on first day, right? Everybody's not going to make it in nursing. Okay. And it's really hard. And it's way harder than me. This class, way harder. Then I will give you near the detail I'm giving you, and they know, I don't even know if they copy their lectures, but let me tell you something. That's tough stuff, right? You make a B in there, you're a rock star, right? You make an A in there, you got lucky, and you're a rock star, okay? Because it's that hard, right? It really is. Now, I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I'm just telling y'all. How many? And by the way, let me get this out of the way first day. How many want to do nursing? Raise your hand. Okay. How many doing something else outside health? What you doing?
Ultrasound.
Oh, good. EMT. Good stuff.
EMT.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now here's my take on EMT. Okay. I didn't know this till like 5 years ago. Y'all are the most underpaid, underappreciated people in healthcare. It is a damn joke what they treat y'all, how they pay y'all. And if I was king of the world, y'all would be making what RNs make. Because you're first line. You're the first person to get that car wreck when I'm dying, right? Man, they don't pay y'all right. Okay. They don't. And we got to figure that out. I'm with y'all. Okay. Y'all can get my support when y'all get out and unionize. Hey, I'll donate. Okay. You got my, I'm telling y'all, okay. Y'all are underappreciated and it can help the community. I did not know that. So then some of my friends that teach y'all come over and tell me how, now I know you work 20-hour shifts, that's probably, but still, we got to pay better than that. I mean, you can make a good living, but a lot of burnout is just not as good as like the RN pay, or something like that. Okay, but anyway, I did that. I say that because look, I had this little girl over here one time just pretending, and it's really helped. We're doing this, and I kept saying stuff in class like, "You need to know this, nurses. You gotta know this. You gotta know this." And finally, one day, she started crying and raised her hand and said, "Quit making fun of me." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "You always talk about the nursing students have got to know this." And I'm a nursing student, so you're making me feel pressure. I'm feeling bad here, like you're picking on me in class. And I'm like, everybody raise your hand who's trying to be nurses, like everybody in the room. And then she turned like 8 shades of red. Okay. So I need to know that. I don't want to ever embarrass anybody, right? But most people are what? Nursing, and really that's a nurse. That is EMT is a type of nursing if you get down to it. Helping, medical helping, right? And then sonography is a brilliant one too. That's a good one too. Sonography is a cool one too. But everybody's got to have this. So anyway, so don't let me like make you feel bad about something like that. I probably have a reason why I say things, okay? And that's just most of the people in here are what? Nursing. And I got to say that on the first day, right? And I say that, and I'm not trying to be ugly, it really breaks my heart because we got kids that graduated from high school. I mean, how many people walk into my office and want to be a doctor and they got like 11 ACT. And no one told them, probably not going to happen. Now, I'm going to talk about one time on hangover, they took it 8 times. And they're excited. That's their super score. Okay. Now, have I seen some nurses with 10, 12, 11 make it to RN? Yes, I have. Guess how hard they work? 100%. They work a lot harder than some of you guys with 30 ACT or 36 in here, 35, or my doctor, Nathan, he's a smart person, he made like 36. But he also taught it to me. So these smart people can help you be friends with smart people, right? They get you a long way in life, right? They can explain things if I can't. So that's how we became friends. All right, but let's look at the grades real quick. So I'm gonna have y'all turn in the midterm and final review. Okay, which in my other classes I have broken down by chapters. But you can go ahead and print it and start writing them out. They're due like the day before the midterm, the day before the final. Okay, and I'll make that 5%. So I'll give you something for. Am I crazy? I'm going to give you 5 points for just answering the freaking review sheet that you should already done because it's the test. Okay, so that written test is pretty much right off of that. Okay, I made it that way. Okay, all right, and then the online midterm online is 15% written midterm, which are those questions off that review sheet, and then the online final, and then the written final. And we'll take those here on the computer, you know, and we kind of did this because COVID, we could monitor from home. But we had a lot of people. Was anybody here last semester in Northwest? I mean, we had a whole lot. We used this new thing called R-Lock, and it films you, and there's somebody watching it. Look, man, I got this video y'all should see. This girl is taking her principal biology class. I can probably get fired showing it to y'all, but I'm not going to show it to you. But I'll just tell you what she did. She's sitting there and the camera's on, and she's like, how many chromosomes does humans have? Siri, how many chromosomes does humans have? 46. You're typing in. 2 hours to answer 100 questions like that. 0. Fail the course. And it was so bad that I don't know, they sent me an email like, hey man, she cheated. We got phone, you know, and then in her lab, she then cussed me for 20 minutes for making her do all that work. And I called her up and told her I had that on video too. So it was really entertaining. So we won't do that, yeah, we'll do it in person, but if somebody like gets sick or something, I can do it. I can help you if we had to. We can do it from distance. Was that cool? That adds up to 100, right? Everybody got that? So, but I know I'm a closet OCD person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like things that equal out. I think that work. I like things that make sense. Okay, so one more time, we're gonna have them. And I'm really nervous about this. I did this last year, all year like this, but they didn't get to have me as much in person. So y'all gonna be a lot better shape. I'm gonna cover everything with y'all. Okay. But normally I have a test like Monday. So the only problem is we're not gonna have test Monday. We don't have test on chapter 1 and 2 on Monday. And so this is going to be a little bit weird. We're not going to have a test scope, but it also gives you time to kind of get acclimated, you know, and kind of get your act together. But I'm afraid that the midterm is going to be really bad for some of y'all. Okay. I hope it's not. Y'all blow it away, guys. I'll put on my cheerleader suit and everything, man. Okay. I'll be cheering y'all on. Okay. But this is what's going to see in nursing. Nursing usually does midterm fine. They don't have a lot of tests. And we've gotten to where this book is along. I was like doing them every 2 chapters of test. And so I'm going to try this summer. I'm still going. If I have to curve the midterm, what I end up doing, and I did end up curving the written one. It's all the same, right? The math is the same. So I just give everybody 10 points on the written, which everybody did real good. Average is like 80 on it. So I just added 10 to everybody to compensate for the online. But some of y'all may be thinking, hey, I'm taking it online. It's easier. Well, check that out. You're taking the actual online midterm test in here. And that just kind of gives us a little consistency, right? That's my job to teach it. Okay? Is that cool?
So we're not having chapter tests, we're having midterm and final, and that's it. Those are 2 tests.
But but I have 2 of them, each of them. Okay. A written one over the questions that I've given you. It's already there. That's fair. I like to keep working like this with you, okay? You keep talking, because that way the person who's half listening gets quiet. And you know what we're doing, and then they learn what we're doing, okay? Okay, because I would appreciate that. No, you're not bothering me. I mean, that's what I want. I need some interaction. Okay, I will get to know your name for anybody else's, right? Because some people don't want to talk to me. That's okay. Okay, so written test from a review sheet for midterm. Then I have a second review sheet for the final. So the final is not comprehensive. It's just over chapters 8 through 14, and the midterm is over 1 through 7. Okay, now that's a lot of material. Don't get me wrong, but I will tell you this. I will give you a little clue, like on some picture. Because normally I would just have like an evil anatomy test where we just learn all the muscles in here. But I'm going to tell you muscles to know, kind of the pictures to know. So I'll give you some guidance. Okay. So 4 tests, but 2 midterms and 2 finals. That's kind of weird. Okay, but think of like an online, like you don't have to spell much. You got to spell some stuff on online. We have some muscles you got to name and stuff like that. So it's not all multiple choice. But it's probably 15-20% you have to write a word in. Okay. But the written is going to be short answer questions or big theories that we want you to know. And some people go like, Robin, that's just memorization. Yes, it is, because guess what you need to do in A&P? You got to memorize stuff. Okay, and there's just some big core issues you need to know. And I kind of address those in the short answer. My favorite test as a student was the class that was nothing short answer. I took physiology with a teacher. We had a midterm final, 2 written tests. The first one was over the first half, and the final was comprehensive. And I'll give you the questions too. I'll tell you all the questions as we go. It's one of my favorite little things in class to take. Okay, is everybody cool enough with the grad? Let's go to chapter 1. We've been about an hour. Okay, we're good. I can do chapter 1 in an hour, no problem. So we're in good shape. Any other questions? And I mean that. Look, you're not gonna ever bother me. Raise your hand. She's been so polite. Just raise your hand. And if I like really look like I've lost my mind, you can interrupt me. I won't like get mad. Especially like somebody's at the door or you gotta go to the bathroom. Look, you gotta go to the bathroom. Don't even ask. Just go. And if you gotta throw up, make it for the garbage can. Okay, but I'll work with y'all, okay? Any questions we dive into chapter 1? Oh, let me call roll now. I'll call roll now. That gives everybody time to get here. Okay, all right, let me call roll. So, the book we're using is Erin Ammerman, second edition, and I actually met her 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, actually, and now look, y'all may laugh at this, but there is a nerve convention called Human Anatomy and Physiology Society. I'm a member. And so we had about, I don't know, 800 or 900, maybe 1,000 A&P teachers show up at a convention every year. And they have it, we were in Portland, Oregon 2 years ago. Last year it's supposed to be in Ontario, the capital of Canada. And my wife and I were going, I already had airline tickets and everything. It's going to be our little trip and I can write off on taxes, right? Okay, and then COVID happened. And so they already canceled this year, but they like go to Hawaii like every 10 years, okay? And Northwest will not pay for that. They might let me pay for it, but they will let me go on their cost. So thank you, Northwest. Okay. All right. So I'm going to call the roll. I'll keep it off this. Today is June 1. I should know that. All right. Now look, and I probably already said more about myself than I should, but I like to laugh at myself and I make fun of myself. Okay. And I will try not to make fun of anybody. Okay. Okay. I try not to do that, right? So, but anyway, but if I do somewhere hurt somebody's feelings, just say something to me after class and I'll apologize. Okay. But y'all cannot, don't get mad. Don't let me run this fast because you don't like the way I teach, you don't like me. That's okay. You still got to do it, okay? And one of my flaws is I actually had a learning disability as a kid. I actually had to go to speech. And my best friend I went to visit game with last night, we don't get to go to many visit games anymore. He drove from Boonville and we've done a lot of traveling together and he's pretty sure I'm dyslexic. But at this point, I'm 56, I don't care. I'm already done what I'm doing. I'm not going to change or anything like this. But he's pretty sure I write things backwards sometimes. So anyway, I probably got some other issues there that might need to be checked on. But one of mine is pronouncing words that don't use normal pronunciations, okay? So I had to memorize all biology words. I actually memorized them. I can't use phonics, you know what I mean? That whole hooked on phonics thing, I sent the money back. It didn't work for me. Okay, so if I can't say your name, please forgive me. I may even give me a nickname, I'll write it in. I even had a guy one day, I couldn't say his first name or last name. He said, everybody calls me Q. We were best friends for the years over. I just called him Q, Mr. Q. Okay. Anyway, so Lacey is not here writing this down. Did she make it? She was sick today, and we're videoing for her. Okay, and Bailey, nice to meet you, Bailey. Okay, and then Madison Grantham. Okay, Madison, I'm gonna bet 1,000. Megan. Where's Megan? Megan, okay, nice to meet you, Megan. Say your last name for me. Pretty name. I'll work on that. Okay. Okay, and then is it Thomas Jones? Okay, that's Thomas. What you go by?
Thomas Steve.
Thomas P. Okay, let me know. Okay, William Jones. William, okay. Okay. Okay, Florentine. Florentina. Okay, now Florentina, I'm gonna look. Remember, I've got the Roman name, right? So I should have been a weatherman.
You can just call me Kelly.
Okay, no, what's your last name? I was kind of intrigued with that.
Christopher.
Okay, oh, that's what, okay, that's, I would have sworn.
No, it's W.
Okay, so you like to be called, what house you said?
Kelly.
Oh, I do Kelly. Kelly, is my buddy's wife's name. I can do Kelly. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you checking me this morning. Sorry, I didn't catch that. I should have thought that earlier. That I turned it on. Sorry about that. Victoria, Victoria. Nicole. Not here. Okay, that's somebody that hasn't completed, so they may decide not to. Everybody so far has paid their fees during the class, but she has not, and they haven't done. Normally they dump us. That's what I thought they'd done. I thought they dumped them. And so if you hadn't completed registration by the day, they'll probably drop you out of the class. Okay, just FYI. Savannah Martin. Can I send you Savannah? Okay, Cindy. Okay, Cindy. Okay, Laura Reynolds. Okay, okay, Leslie Sarton. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, Molly. Okay, pretty cool. Megan Washington. Okay, we lost another one. Okay, she paid too. Megan Lee Washington. Okay, interesting. Everybody knows one of them. We didn't meet. Okay, and Sophia. One. Okay, nice to meet you, Sophia. Okay, real question, Cindy. Nothing ugly. That's bad. Okay, you're signed up for 2 labs at 9.
Yeah, I didn't. I got a call.
Can I fix that for you after class? Okay, I mean, you can do that. I would probably, but you're like a very sweet young lady, but it would be very confusing, I think, to take them
I
because.
like to do like just do for
Okay, well, look, let's talk after class. Okay, but what I would like you to do is take it in the day so they go together in the afternoon allow everybody else. And then in June, you can do the same thing, but that may not work. You're trying to work too. We'll talk. Because what you don't want to do is, I mean, you're going to start A&P 2 like tomorrow night. And it's going to be going in a way different direction than we're going. So if you could take them in the day class, it would make sense. In other words, I'm supposed to not let you be in the night lab, it's 8 weeks. And our labs is just 4 weeks. Let's just talk about it. No big deal. She takes the paper stuff, I'm just saying, but that's just a technical thing. We'll just talk about it in between classes. All right. The other thing you need to do, I need y'all to do this before lab this afternoon. And look, here's what happens with the lab. Normally we have about 30 people take this, and so we get to have 2 labs. And I had Mr. Carrero was going to teach the lab or whatever. And so we do an 8 o'clock lab and then have 15-minute break and do the lecture, which is real painful if you're trying to do 4 hours straight, right? And I mean, we did all the time we can in lecture. And then we had a lab for afternoon and so you had an hour break for lunch. And so I had asked him which one he wanted to do. Well, he's like me, he's not a morning person. So he had said, let's just move everybody to afternoon. Okay. And then something happened in Oxford where an adjunct got too many hours. I mean, we have limits to what we can teach, and all his A&P made, and I got church meeting that by my boss, and I got like, what are you doing? You didn't catch that. I'm like, okay, I'll fix it. So I had to call him and take 2 classes from him and give them to Philip next month. Okay. And that's why I still got a little problem there. So I'm teaching the lab with y'all. I make a little bit more money, but Philip picks up an extra lab. So everybody's happy. But I do like this. It's okay to have 2 different teachers, but the only problem with that is that next month, Ms. Dickens is doing a lecture. If you're doing this, I know some of y'all are doing the whole summer night. I know you are. And then Philip's going to do the lab. He may not know how to can answer a question about lecture, because she's doing it a certain way. You know what I'm saying? But you do get somebody else's way of spinning stuff, right? So it's kind of a wash, okay? But this semester, I'm doing a lab and lecture. So if we're in there this afternoon, you go, I would understand one more time about how that online homework works. Obviously, we can answer that question, and I can definitely answer it. He can answer it for you in lab. But it may be something specific, like chapter 4, I didn't understand, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to stop and answer that in class, right? Okay, and since everybody pretty much, I think, is in lab, except one lady that's got, so I'm not going to lecture in that lab. I think one lady's already got like a B in lab. I was looking over it. If you didn't match out, I did look at your records this morning, and I think shit, don't take lab over if you got a B. I mean, don't do that. I mean, you don't want to take lab over. But I'm not going to lecture in lab, okay? I might answer a question, but I'm not going to go, if I put out another, I'm going to cover chapter 3. That would be unfair. That's just not what we do. We'll do lecture, lab, and sometimes hopefully they intertwine somewhat, okay? Is that cool? All right, let's look at chapter 1 real quick. So anyway, pick this book up. This is the only thing you got to buy. And this is a lab book that goes for A&P 1 and 2, so it's good for both of them. So you don't have to buy a lab book. And what we did is the code and lecture, you copy it into the homework, and here you don't have to pay another lab fee. Since we're using a Pearson textbook, Ammerman, and a lab book, which is Green, Robinson, and Strong, guess who those are? That's me on the second line. So we wrote this thing, took us 7 years to write this. So I'm kind of excited. I got to Miss Lisa was in her class, and she goes, Miss Lisa, there is, your name is on our lab book. Isn't that weird? Y'all got the same name as the author? And she's like, gee, my picture's over there too. And so that's what Miss Strong said. Just look at her. She went, wow, how did that happen? On the way home, she realized she was okay. Anyway. All right, anyway, so we're excited about our lab book. It's actually pretty reasonable. It's $60 at the bookstore. I back it up $25, but we were charging $140 for a lab book before we wrote this. And we turn all the money we make off of this, we give back to the foundation, to y'all, okay? For scholarship. So we're not making any money off of y'all, but we're making money off everybody else, okay? Taking it at Alabama and Auburn, and whoever, and Alabama's using it, Auburn's using it. So we had pretty good success with that, except it came out last January in COVID. So nobody east of Texas, west of Texas has even picked a book because they ain't been back to class. Yeah. So maybe later. But anyway, and like I say, you get bonus points if you find a typo in there, because we keep still looking for typos. So be sure if you see something stupid, let me know and we'll correct it. I'm going to now go to chapter 1 and kind of get into this. I may not finish it, but because I'm dragging today. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoints off my little slip drive here. If it opens up. Hang on. Why is it doing that? There we go. So what I like to do is, this is a freshman level class. This is your first level science class. So what I think the teacher should do, and call me crazy, I know there's a way to make that smaller. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it alone. Sometimes just need to leave it alone, Rob. Just leave it alone. Oh, come on. I love technology. What did I do? Oh, here we go. But a freshman level class,
You can resume.
I stopped recording.
Click resume.
Oh, did I do it just then?
Yeah, click resume. Up higher.
Thank you. Resume sharing. Okay. Screen change pause. Okay, let me figure that out. Stop pause. Let me try something. Hang on. Let me just do this. I may need to share a different screen. That's what I need to do. Sorry, I'm used to. There we go. I need to go off of that. There we go. All right. So what I like to do is follow the actual chapter. I'm going to start at page 1, and we're going to go to halfway through this book. Okay. And if I start flicking through PowerPoints, slides, I'll come right through there. Then what am I saying about that material?
Not important.
Not important. Okay. Or at least probably not going to be on the test. Okay. However, now listen to this. This part's kind of tricky. On the midterm written online, you're responsible for everything in the first chapter. Okay. Except like all the pictures of muscles, I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you they're not on there. But we may have that superficial muscle picture, and you may have to do a few of those. So we limit it down, and then we get to. I mean, obviously, we could just make it almost impossible for anybody to pass, but just randomly pick it one little part on 8,000 pictures, right? So just trust me, we're not going to do that when I tell you something not like that. But we'll skip through a lot of this, and I will tell you too that Ammerman's area of research was brain physiology, and she's got way too much brain stuff. Okay. I mean, she got like 5 chapters on brain. I mean, really, okay? And some of it's way too deep, and I don't even know how you can test it. Okay, so we'll look at some of that and just kind of fly through it. Yes, ma'am.
Where's the questions for the review?
It's down on the, go down, slide down in modules where it says midterm review. Sway on down.
Because I went to assignment and it's not there.
Not in science, not in science, in go to modules. The science just shows you, will show you your grades and what everything, you know, is another way to see how the breakdown of the class is. Instead of going to the standard syllabus, which is in there, and it breaks it out, that's the real thing there. That's the action. Everybody make sure I got the math right. So wait for me to double check. You find it yet? And I know I'll try to run that off for you. I just forgot to run that off. There's only like, well, I don't think there's like one question on chapter 1. So, but some of those, there's a couple of big ones in there, like protein synthesis and stuff. It's like a half a page to write. Okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of do this and look, and I will walk around a little bit. I'm going to work. They did ask me to word shield, and I will double check. Maybe we could drop these masks next month, but they're just getting real worried. We did not give anybody COVID in the classroom last year. So nobody in any of our classes got, no teacher got it. We didn't give it to anybody, but it was usually eating lunch together at the table where we had a breakout with teachers on the 3rd floor, you know, and then all the athletic groups, you know, in the dorm or, you know huddled and huddled before you got, seems how we spread it, man. Okay. But hopefully everybody got vaccinated. Okay. I hope you, if you hadn't, and I'm a little worried that a lot of my young students were not going to do it, but y'all wouldn't even bother y'all, man. So any of that would be better since the old folks and some people seem to have reactions to the shot. So anyway, so let's start the class off in chapter 1. And I guess first thing we got to do is define the class title of the chapter, right? So, introduction to anatomy and physiology. Okay, so what is anatomy?
Structure.
Structure. Also, we got to learn a lot of body part, and really anatomy to me is a lot of memorization. Okay, so I'm just saying there is a lot of memorization in this class, and I would say that unless you're going to be an ankle expert or work at some orthopedic surgeon, nurse, or sonography there, a lady here, then you don't need to know all the bones in the ankle, right? You know, but you need to know it one day, one time when we test that, right? And after that, you probably don't need to know that. But blood pressure, chambers of the heart, so that you probably need to know the rest of your life, right? So I do think A&P 2 has more, I think, medically related stuff. And A&P 1 is kind of an overview, you know, do we get to the individual chapters, right? Of all the systems in the body. Physiology is the function of things, how things work. Now that's my favorite. I'm a physiologist. That's my actual master's degree that I got a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, was in reproductive physiology. Okay, so if I do use references using reproductive system, I'm not trying to be a dirty old man. It's just my favorite topic, and I think it's the coolest chapter in the book. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think the most amazing thing in the human body is the female reproductive system, and how this 28-day roller coaster ride that y'all all have experienced, very likely you ladies, is absolutely I mean, I can't wait till God explains why he did that. Okay, how that all worked out, okay, how you came up with that, right? I mean, it is kind of cool, right? And it is required for the species to continue, right? And the male parts, right? All that's gonna work, or we're, the species ends, right? It was only man that made reproduction dirty with his TV and internet and her, all that other industry, right? But God made that, and it's not a dirty thing. It's just we make it dirty if we want to make it dirty. Okay, but anyway, but physiology is how they work. And by the way, these two do what? Go together, right? Because anatomy dictates physiology, right? So a pump needs to be muscular like the heart, so it can pump the blood through all the parts of our body, right? So there's real symmetry between the anatomy of things and what it does. Okay, like the skin is hundreds of layers of little dead simple squamous cells, right, to keep things from getting in and out. But the capillaries in your lung are a single cell, and COVID causes them to dissolve, and that's what's killing us. Is the COVID virus causes that simple squamous epithelium in the alveoli to fill up with mucus, and you choke to death, or whatever it is, it's causing a problem at that layer. So it's really cool when you see the whole enchilada. All right, now the first thing they do, and there it is, anatomy, structure, and physiology is function. Everything in our book has pretty much been discovered, and we believe to be true using the scientific method, right? I'm not going to, if we were in a general biology class, we spend an hour talking about scientific method. But this is a specific nursing or health-related course, that everybody's got to have to do almost every health-related program. But everything in the book was discovered was using the scientific method, right? Where we remember observation, making a hypothesis, and let you guess, and then doing experiments to find out if that hypothesis is true. And if it's not, then what? Retest it till you figure out things, right? And that's how we discovered a lot of these marvelous things we're going to talk about in this book. I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be able to do A&P 2 with y'all, which I actually find a little more fun to me after 30 years, because it's still expanding. When I took A&P at Northwest and at Northeast Community College, I'm from Tupelo area, so we went to Boonville to Northeast. There wasn't even a chapter on immunology in the book. So 1983, there was like 5 pages at the end of the cardiovascular chapter. Today, it's probably 160 pages. So we've learned a lot in 35 years, right, or 40 years about what? How the immune system works, right? And one of the biggest things was AIDS. AIDS came about when I first started working here was the plague, actually in my graduate school. And a lot of what we know about the immune system now is directly related to what? Studying, trying to stop this terrible disease that was killing millions of people on Earth, right? And conversely, we have made a huge discovery in medical technology in our attempt to stop this COVID vaccine, right? Now, guys, look, we knew for about 20 years that this was going to happen. Since we had SARS about 15 years ago, which is a COVID vaccine virus, we knew that China was going to have this thing happen either in the laboratory leaking it out accidentally or in these open food markets of where it started. We know where it started. We knew that was going to come there. I've got an article I can show you 20 years ago, public scope, it's going to happen. They predicted that down in this article, peer review article. We knew that was going to happen. So we have been working on this messenger RNA technology for about 20 years. But we had to have an incident where it would be worth doing. Okay, so we had to have the money to see it. And this is what happened. This technology, maybe they already got a vaccine for AIDS, and it's in phase 3 trials, and they got phase 2 trials on several cancers using messenger RNA vaccines. We may give you a cancer vaccine that cures breast or prostate cancer or whatever, using the same technology. So it's a big game changer. And for those of us in medicine, we have not had a grand slam since polio vaccine, penicillin. We've had some doubles and triples and some pitcher hit the batter. Okay, but this may be a grand slam. I got the Viper. I got it as soon as I could get it. Luckily, my obesity allowed me to get it really early. So I didn't have a problem with that. I wouldn't take it. Okay, I've had both my shots. And of course, I'm brown hair, which is what? And, that's the most common on earth, brown hair, brown skin, brown. I'm dark complected, got the brown eyes. I'm pretty average, and average is good when you're trying to do drugs. It's people that who've been here super allergic to react to vaccine, get the flu vaccine. Anybody like that? Like one of my best friends, co-worker, she cannot get the flu. To make her, the flu shot will put her down, make her very sick. So we all have different immune systems, right? So we got to be concerned about that. But anyway, that is science. Is doing these experiments and testing things. Okay. Now, yeah, we haven't tested that vaccine, but I've looked at the label of what's in there, and so did other people, and there's nothing in there that can hurt Okay, but we all know if everybody drinks smokes a joint, there's one person out of a million that kills, right? It's just, that's the drug that kills you, right? And so that's why we're very concerned about any drug you put in your body, right? Most drugs are pretty safe, that we test, but they may be that one person that has the immune system that causes anaphylactic shock and they die, right? So it's best not to take any drugs, right? You don't have to, right? Because you may be that one that can't take certain drugs. But anyway, but I won't go back to science. The science is what we're doing. Everything in our book has been pretty well proven, or we're 99% sure it's correct, okay? All right, now I'm going to skip the next couple of things because she goes back and talks about how to study, and I don't have time for that, okay? Y'all can go back and look over this. There is a module in there on study, and then she talks about how the book works, okay? So now we're going to do the quick overview. Let me get to a picture. I like pictures. I'm a picture guy. Should be a big summary picture here somewhere. There we go. So I really do. I used to teach this without any words, but I just had to let the pictures on the old projector screen, and I would just lecture from those. So I do skip a lot of it because it's got the text. It's a summary of the book, right? But anyway, but look at this. This is one of the coolest things God did. Or natural selection, or maybe God through natural selection, which is what I would argue happened. But that's another book, another chapter, another class. But all things on earth are made out of chemical of these 92 elements, right? The 92 elements on the periodic table. Everything in the universe is made out of that. We have found nothing else yet. We've been to Mars, we've been to these other places, right? They are made out of these elements. There are no other elements until the aliens come in, like the movie I watched Sunday night, The Quiet Place 2. They may have some different elements, and that'll cause a whole bunch of problems, right? Okay. Right, great movie, by the way. All right, combinations of those make everything on Earth, and so we have a chemical level of organization. The cellular level was a big jump from what? Non-living to living, right? And we don't know how that happened. That is the part that's really one of the great mysteries left in the body, or on Earth, because we don't know how that first living organism came about, and I jumped over 32 slides, I believe. Went the wrong way, sorry. Sorry about that. I was trying to stop there, and I touched the screen. So, going from non-living to living is unexplainable. We have yet to figure that out. So there's no scientist that we have not created life yet left for, right? But all living things are made out of cells. Okay? Now, would you like to know the origin of that word? It's really cool. Okay? So a guy named Dr. Hook was one of the guys, the first people to make microscopes. Leeuwenhoek and some other guys, I think it was Hook that did that. And he was looking at tree bark. And he noticed that tree bark, or trees in general, are made out of little cubes, little cubicles that look like little small compartments. And the monks in the monasteries in Europe lived in what we call cells, a little 8 foot by 8 foot cubicle called a cell. Now, Uncle Billy is also in a jail down in Parchment, right? In a cell. But that's where that word comes from, describing the little cubicle that these monks lived in. So he said that all living things are made out of what? These little cubicles called cells. Sometimes that helps me learn things. I know the history of the word. I hope you don't mind if I throw those in. Okay, of course, we're not made out of little square cells. Ours can be all kind of shape, right? But all life on Earth is made out of these cells, okay? And that's really cool, okay? And then cells come together to make tissues. We're going to look at a lot of tissues in A&P. I do like histology. I have a real passion for histology. And we'll have a midterm in lab on histology, okay? And then tissues come together to form organs. Organs make organ systems, and organ systems make organisms. So guess what? All A&P books are broken down into chapters based on organ systems, right? Then we're going to do the introduction chapter, then we're going to do a chemistry chapter, and then we're going to do a tissue chapter, and then we're going to dive into skin and work our way all the way in with the reproductive and genetics by next month from Ms. Nichols, if you take it all. Hope y'all do. It's a good summer. You can get a lot and learn a lot, because I hope you ain't taking anything else. And if you are, you may have to take something else. But in a perfect world, you just take this and nothing else, and just immerse yourself in A&P for the summer. And I think y'all can do real well. And we used to let people do this and go right to nursing school in August. I've seen that happen. That was the way it used to be. So now you have to have A&P 1 to apply. But I would definitely take A&P 2 before I went to nursing. I think you want a plan for disaster. Take nursing 2 or nursing 1 with A&P 2. That would be bad. Okay, I'm just saying I would knock it out. I would beg you to knock it out. Okay. And I ain't making a dime off you taking it next month, but I would get it out of the way if you blow this first part away. Okay. So we'll learn. Let's look at the organ systems. I think we're going to go through those. The book talks about 11. These are kind of fun. These would be good, easy questions on midterm, right? What's integumentary? Okay, now let's just do these kind of fun real quick together, because look, I've got to be very careful because I start assuming y'all know stuff, right? And I'm really struggling. Look, I have a daughter that's 21. I think about that thing. She was here last year. She just finished her first year at Ole Miss. Still ain't got to go to class yet. They did all the Zoom and stuff. And I do think y'all are going to be much more appreciative of the future than some other people, right? Because y'all had a crappy senior year, right? Did you get through any of the things you went through? I was just glad to go to be in a gymnasium with 10,000 people last night, right? I mean, because I hadn't been out in a year and a half, right? So I do like my outdoor stuff. I love my concerts and stuff. But I got to update some of my stories and some of my thoughts because the farther I get away from y'all's age, the more harder it is for me to connect. Okay, so I apologize. I'm going to do my best. So if I make some reference to some TV show you never heard of before, go Google it after class or something, right? Okay. But anyway, skin to me is super cool, right? It is the heaviest organ. It's the shortest chapter in the book. It's a real quick chapter because there ain't a whole lot to it, but it is our main protection from heat loss and maintain body temperature. I did take my daughter and my oldest one time. I take them a lot of these national parks in the summer. Like one of them, I took them together sometimes. But this time I had my oldest daughter, and we were in Vegas, and I'm in Vegas with my child, right? I mean, we're not going to do anything like there's a lot of bad things you can do in Vegas. I wouldn't necessarily do a lot of them anyway. So what we're going to do for a day to our family opera tickets for that night. They had a lot of fun. She was her favorite play. I took her to see her favorite play, but we didn't have anything to do that day, and they had this body exhibit. So my best friend is with me, who's an accountant, and he hates this exhibit. He got mad walked out. His wife's a nurse, and me and her and my daughter, who's a biology major, spent like 3 hours on this thing. So these Germans figured out how to plasticize the human body, and they went to China and bought bodies. Bought people's, child that died, kid that died, miscarried, they had everything. And they let us see it. So the very first one, they took the human, plasticized it, cut him into, and he walked through a guy. That's pretty impressive. Now I got my phone out and I almost got thrown out because I couldn't take pictures right. But they had a room with a human skin laying on the table. And it is the biggest, you can pick it up. It's the heaviest organ. It's the largest organ by weight, it sure is. And I would have thought that, right? And you have to have that. So if you ever, some of you EMTs are going to see this, right? When people get burned real bad, they'll even put like cow or pig skin on them to get them through the trauma of that skin loss. But if they can't get skin graft to take, then they will die. I mean, you have to have a certain amount of skin. So super important organ there. Of course, next one, skeletal system. I mean, my gosh, and I'm going to try to get to this quick because each of these have their own chapter, right? But bones are about what? Protection and for movement. Now, here's something I got really in trouble one time. I told a bad joke. Miss Strong, who's one of the authors of the lab book, is one of my best teachers here and one of my best friends. But I taught her A&P lab years ago, so she's quite a bit younger than me. And I made this joke about one time in class about how I'm gonna boycott Tyson's chicken because how bad they treat chickens. You ever been to a chicken ranch? Been to a chicken farm? It's pretty rough. We're pretty rough. And I told him, anybody see 60 Minutes that last night? And I called like my guy here or my lady here that I already talked to. I said, go with me. Go with me. When I make this statement, say I saw this. Say I saw it. Because see, if you want to lie to somebody, if I come in and told y'all Sunday night on 60 Minutes, they had a 10-minute episode, report about the boneless chicken ranches in Arkansas. Anybody see it? And then y'all say, yeah, that means die, might as well say it. It really was on. And I said, anybody see it? Y'all saw it, and so they took the bones out of these baby chickens and fed them. They're just laying like catfish flopping because they can't walk. Because you can't walk without bones. But people want to buy boneless chicken. I buy boneless chicken, right? Shame on me, right? And so now they're raising these boneless chickens up in Arkansas. And I forgot it in the class because the point of the lecture was what? You can't have movement without what? Muscle and bone both. So there are no boneless chicken ranches in Arkansas. Just imagine chickens flopping around in the dirt, right? We go by 2 months later, and some girl comes up to me with a typed up legal document wanting to boycott Tyson's about signing because of the boneless chicken ranch in Arkansas. I mean, Tyson's gonna have me taken out. I'm gonna die in a car wreck. They're gonna have my brakes cut, I'm like, that was a joke. We hired her years later, and she finally called on her, and she said, I told you for 100 people about the boneless chicken. And I'm like, well, you didn't read the book real good, Miss Teacher. You can't move without bone and muscle both. Okay, sorry. So don't let me not tell the rest of that. Okay, that would have been bad, right? Now for the students who hears half what I say anyway, now there'll be somebody not telling their parents about these terrible boneless chicken ranch. I need to get somebody like Saturday Night Live to make a skit on that. Like the boneless chicken ranch. Okay. Little fishes flopping around, little chickens flopping around. Okay. Anyway, Also makes all of our blood, stores calcium, very important for all that too. Muscles are for movement and body heat, right? Okay, you know, if you get caught in a snowstorm, you know, and it's two of y'all need to snuggle at least, okay? Right, to keep everybody alive, right? They say keep walking, right? If you stop, that's where they'll find you, dead, right? But muscle activity, right, is super important to generate heat. Nervous system, now guys, I'll tell you right off the bat, okay? Think about these 24 chapters in this book, 27 chapters in this book. The one that we probably don't completely understand is this one. Now we got there's been no major bone discovery in 100 years, okay, is that clear? No big scientific, breakthrough in that. But we know there's probably still 20% of the brain we don't understand. Nobody can draw grandmama's biscuits on the board and gravy, right? Or my senior prom, when I was 5 foot tall, right? I was too skydiving to go out the dance, right? You know what I mean? That memory. You can't do it. We don't know how it works. I mean, it's still a mystery, right? I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Nobody can do that in a computer yet, but they're getting close. Okay, we have not done a brain transplant yet, but they're getting close. Okay, so still a mystery, controls the body, regulates the body, maintains the body, and all higher brain function, memory, personality, IQ, intellectual ability, all that is in the brain. Super amazing system, a lot of mystery. We're going to cover that one best we can, and we're going to skip a lot of pages. We're just going to do a lot of ooh, ah, and just learn what I tell you. Okay, and get through that. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, one of my favorites here. This is like the second chapter in A&P2, endocrine system. Yes, hormones. Okay, so these are the glands that make hormones, right? And this is usually, now I want to tell you, this is something that also happens. I don't think it happens to some, you got a good group here. I can already tell. But a lot of times, if you went to Lewisburg, which is probably the best school in our district, right? It's the #1 school in the state, whatever, up there in Soda County, Rockstar. They got like 80 people make 30 on the ACT, right? If you made 25, you're like a loser there. Or if you go to Centoga, you'd be a rock star, right? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Those kids have a little bit bad. They have a little bit better high school than you if you went to Roseport, which is over in the Delta, rough school. If you make it to AP1, we get into this, and guess what? Lewisburg didn't get. They didn't get a whole lot of anything. So we get into more advanced stuff. Once you get to this AP2, we get out of some of the basic science stuff that you may have gotten if you had a real good background, like my EMD. Some of y'all already maybe LPN, a nurse, you've been medical. I know some of y'all in the military, you may already be a paramedic. You're gonna know a lot of this stuff, right? You're starting at a different point than somebody right out of high school from a small school or home school, and you're only as smart as mom and dad. Okay, and it's what they taught you. My dad's a doctor, you're gonna be good here, but maybe dad don't do math, So, but I've had great success with homeschool people. But this is one of my favorite ones. These are all the glands of the body that make hormones. So here's my $1 million question. Why would God make a whole nother system to control the body, right? When we got a perfectly good nervous system, we spent 4 chapters and like a whole week talking about.
The nervous system tells those organs to release the hormones that affects the other organs and how they work. So, okay, that's a good one. That's really good. So there is the brain does control quite a few, not all of them, but most of the endocrine system. Okay, so hey, here's a good one for y'all. And since I'm not teaching AP2, I'm sure this won't be a test question, but it would be if I was a teacher. So I've asked that. I do a lot of this in here. I like, why we do this? Why? And she's also part of it. But here's a better one, or at least go along with that. It would be impossible to run a nerve to every cell in your body, 100 trillion cells, to tell them to eat sugar. You'd be the size of a freaking whale. Then you have to have another 100 trillion nerves telling them to what? Don't eat sugar. Stop eating sugar. Take sugar in. Release sugar. That's insulin and glucagon. So hormones are in the blood, and blood reaches everything. So it's another way to control the body without running a nerve to it. Because it would be physically impossible to run a nerve to every cell in the body. Does that make sense? To me, now I actually saw that making the turn from baseball to Oxford driving home from a night class one time. Because somebody asked me a really good question in class, and I didn't have a really good answer. And I made that discovery of mine, making that turn, and I ain't never read that in the book. Except maybe we wrote it in the lab book. I don't know if we put it in there. But that makes sense, doesn't it? Now, yeah, it does. It also gives you backup, right? Because you want to have 2 ways, to do something right, in case one of them breaks down, right? But she's dead right? She already knows that the brain controls the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus makes about 8 hormones, and 4 or 5 of them control the thyroid, the entire male female reproductive system, and a lot of other systems, right? So that kind of cool. So there's several ways to answer that, right? You can say backup, But also, it would be physically, and okay, you want a bad story here, to kind of help us think of this. So imagine this, and this is one of my best notes. Imagine this, that there were no cell phones. See, I remember that, y'all don't. Most y'all don't. So, because you are so important, you have to have a phone, right? So you would have a phone, like the old phone, and you'd have like 800 foot of wire. So when you got in the car this morning, you would plug your phone up to the receptacle in the parking lot, and you'd walk to class. We'd have scoreboards in there on the order of who came in first, and we got to leave in reverse order, or the wires all tangled up. We'd have a special crew of men running, women running around campus with splicers. We got a wire tangled over in TS building, you know? Cut, reconnect. The brain is old phone lines. The endocrine system is wireless. It's wireless still. Blood is wireless. Think about how that's tangled with now with 8,000 people on campus. But if everybody drinks water and got all their information out of the water faucets, then it would be fine. Pretty cool. That'll get you on the way home. Okay, but I try. All right. Other ones here. There's the endocrine system, cardiovascular. One of the most important one for you nurses to get a feel for right, because we're going to talk about if the heart ain't working, doesn't really matter if the rest of it ain't working right. You're dead, right? Okay, so super big one. Lymphatic system, another weird one here, not very covered well in high school. You do not have green tubes in your body, okay? But after we spent 7 years writing this book, we give you something about science book. The first person who wrote anything about the lymphatic system painted it green, and we have copied that person for 100 years. We even found a blood vessel in the picture in Emmerman that doesn't exist in the heart, leaving the heart. They had made up, an artist had made a blood vessel that exists. I ruined that author's day when I called her publisher on a Friday afternoon in San Francisco and had her look at it, and then she called me back 10 minutes ago. Damn, y'all good. You're right. You missed the people rolling down here, right? We found an error in the freaking book, right? And then she probably fired 3 people. You know, I'm just saying, you know, because it happens. But these tubes do exist, and they carry excess cellular fluid back to the heart that is produced by the cardiovascular system. So make a long story short, think about this. You got a bathtub running and the more water coming into the bathtub and draining. So you have extra fluid. This carries excess fluid back to the cardiovascular system, to the heart. Okay? So it's another set of tubes that carry fluid back to the heart. Now here's why it's really important. But the cells that do immunity hang out in the organs of the lymphatic system, like lymph nodes and the spleen and others. So lymph nodes are little areas of ambush to attack pathogens as that fluid gets carried back to the heart. Okay, so guess where cancer travels first in the body? In these lymphatic vessels, in these lymph nodes. And that's why doctors are always telling you to check for lymph nodes, or they'll do a biopsy or whatever. So returns excess fluid back to the heart, and it provides immunity because the cells that do defense live in these lymph nodes that you can see in that lady. Respiratory system, boy, a lot of press play with the COVID, right? A big area. We have a respiratory care program in Minnesota. Can you say money? They're going to be people taking treatments for the next 30 years because they're telling us now that you guys that got COVID are going to have a respiratory problem the rest of your life. So, yeah, very discouraging, right? I have a friend of mine that still ain't got any energy back. One of our star female athletes here got it, and she said, I can't even jog, man. She starts jogging, she'll pass out. So a lot of people are having some lingering problems with respiratory issues from this. But this is all about getting what? Oxygen in the blood so that we can do cellular respiration and get rid of CO2. Carbon dioxide is the waste product of cellular respiration. I'll tell you right now that the flaw in this book, the biggest mistake I think Ammerman has made, and I like her book. I think it reads, that's why we went to it. It reads really well. So read the book. But normally most books after chemistry chapter, which would be chapter, I think 2, we would have an energy chapter. We have, and I hate to cuss. I told y'all with a few cuss words I once on here. Glycolysis, transition reaction, Krebs cycle, mitochondria, those are all cuss words. Okay. These are very hard concepts of molecular biology that explains how ATP is made, and that usually makes about 5% of people quit. Okay, because this is chemistry, and we all hate chemistry, right? This is applied chemistry. Basically, how do we get sugar out of energy to make ATP, and what happens after we do that? How we recycle it? Okay, but in that process, we need oxygen, and we need to get rid of CO2. So this whole system is directly related to allowing us to do cellular respiration to make energy. Ammerman decides to put it in the chapter after digestion, which is kind of cool because you got to get the food and break it down. But what happens is a lot of y'all are gonna get in July and go, man, I didn't understand that. But if we just covered this earlier, this made a lot more sense, right? Because you gotta have ATP to do muscle movement and do everything. I still think it's probably better to get over there. Okay, but you'll cover that with Miss Nickens, who is a rock star teacher, if you're taking it next month. I've known her, actually known her longer than I know my wife. I was her TA at Ole Miss 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And she is a master teacher, one of the best teachers in Northwest. Y'all be glad y'all got her probably and hate me before it's over. Who knows? All right, digestion, I'm very familiar with this one, right? Break food down, put it into a method that can be carried in the blood and then used in the body, right? And then get rid of waste products and defecation, right? And we'll have a lot of fun with that. But this is a cool system. Okay, so I'm at Portland 2 years ago. Blew my mind. Talking about Robin losing his mind. Okay, this guy gets up, this lady gets up, doctor, PhD, MD. She does like an hour seminar for all the biology nerds. What if I told you that this is what she discovered? That how well your body will take a knee replacement or a hip replacement is directly proportional to the bacterium in your colon. And that if she put different colon bacterium in her rats and put an artificial knee in them rats, if she went and did knee replacement surgery on these rats, then they would reject it more often if they have certain coli bacteria. That just almost sounds crazy now. There's a huge correlation to what's going on in the colon and body health and wellness that we don't even vaguely understand yet. Now I say that because my doctor friend, who's smarter than I've ever met, something he read about 20 years ago, he's been drinking these live E. coli, you can get like, I tried to find some of the day for somebody that's having intestinal problems, but they used to be at the drugstore, like in the refrigerator part, and you can buy them, and they're live active, the good bacteria that you want to have in your colon, like the good troopers, right, versus the bad stormtroopers, right? Yeah, but probiotics is a certain brand he likes. So you can buy them, like in a pill but these liquid ones are actually not in their capsule state, they're active. So you can buy them where they can break the bacteria can dry up and form these little capsules that can then hatch back out. But those ones in the refrigerator are live probiotics. Yeah, that's a good one. But it's the right one. That is one of the brands. I mean, that's actually the main. But probiotics are the good bacteria that you want to kill them. He's been drinking them for about 20 years. So I'm just saying, you might want to try that. Okay. All right. Digestion, urinary. Get rid of what? Nitrogen waste products. So we still got a few minutes. So nitrogen waste, and this is a big deal because as we burn proteins, we make nitrogen waste, okay? Okay, blow your mind. You ready? Okay, is everybody ready? Because y'all really think y'all can do it. I would not normally do this because I don't want to freak anybody out, okay? But I'm just going to show you something crazy, okay? This is absolutely crazy. Can everybody see I'll use the board over here. But sometimes I like to write on that board, okay? But watch this. This is something we're going to talk about later. But all proteins have a carboxylic group, a hydrogen, and an amine group. And NH2, and I wrote it backwards because that's the way it connects. And then they have an R group. So all proteins are made out of 20 different amino acids, and this is the basic structure, and that part is different on all 20 of them. Now you have a different functional group there, okay? So when you eat steak, pork, protein, chicken, you break it down, and then this ain't nothing but sugar. That's just carbons, and that can be carried through normal metabolism. So we have to cut this amine group off, and it grabs the hydrogen and forms a compound called ammonia. Now, guys, look, do not do this, okay? I will testify against you in court. But if you really want to kill somebody, shoot them an IV ammonia. You'll kill them in just a few minutes. Yeah, you go to jail for it. Don't do that, okay? But it's really deadly. So God had to figure out a way. We got to get rid of all this ammonia that we love as a human, especially Americans. We love to eat some meat, right? We probably shouldn't be eating as much meat, but that's another story. So watch what happens. So your liver takes this and carbon dioxide and makes a compound y'all all heard of called urea. So urea is the main nitrogen waste that we got to get rid of in our kidneys. I'm going to draw this straighten. And we get urine. Urine gets its name from what? Urea. Urea comes from protein metabolism. You just learned something very cool today. Okay, now to prove this, no judgment. But if you're 21 or you have a friend that's 21, is anybody in here drunk like 8 or 9 beers and then get up the next morning and urinated? Okay, I haven't done that many beers, but I've done that. I've had eaten a bunch of sugar and or pretzels and beer or margaritas, or probably more me, and pretzels, and you get up the next morning and you tinkle, and it's clear as water, and it's got no urea in it. But you go eat a steak or a big piece of chicken, you get up in the morning, and it's bright yellow, and you smell it for 20 miles. That's the urea smell. That's the protein working. That's the urea working itself through. Now, I'm sorry because I have made a few people freak out with my shop biology. But isn't that really cool that you can relate to that? No, so I'm in Death Valley about 15 years ago with my daughters on a trip, one of my daughter trips. And we're in Death Valley. And I'm taking them to the Sliding Rocks, which is the craziest thing. You go Google that later, Sliding Rocks and Death Valley. I go into a bathroom and then at the urinal, I'm urinating, and there's a picture of urine. I'm like, what the crap is going on? And it had pictures you look at and then look down through your urine to find out if you're about to kill yourself with dehydration. So if you're tinkling like yellow, like orange Kool-Aid, you're about to die. And if it's really clear, then you hydrated and you're good. And then it would tell you, drink 2 bottles of water. Drink 1 bottle of water, you're good, based on our urine, because that tells us how much concentrated urine is. So the more concentrated, the more yellow it is. Okay, that kind of crazy. Now I was watching late night TV one time. This dude was drinking his urine. Don't do that. Bad idea. Bad idea. He did not look well. Okay, but he was like 88. So if you're in a boat, it's satanic, you cannot drink the urine. It's about as bad as salt water. Okay, it just dehydrates you. But anyway, I think that's kind of cool. So now you know why we have a urinary system, right? To get rid of what? The nitrogen waste made by protein metabolism. Okay, I've already look. Goodness gracious. Okay. So y'all, man, I mean, y'all got to get a lot. Okay, just get cable TV or something. But I actually had somebody got upset when I used the word. I'm going to tell you what now. This is what I'm dealing with. Okay. I was going over, I didn't go over the rules for y'all, but y'all got to wear proper clothing. And by the way, y'all look fine. Nobody in here is looking crazy. But I had a friend of mine's daughter come to my class one time wearing Victoria's Secret clothing. And I used the word lingerie in class, and she went to the vice president's office crying because I used the word lingerie in class. The girl came to school wearing what I call Victoria's Secret clothing, right? And because I knew her, I said, step outside the hall. I said, hey, I'm going to call you daddy. No. Would your dad, and so she went to the dorm, put some clothes on. I was just trying to make an example, and that freaked somebody out. Please do not be freaked out, okay? I'm sure I just freaked somebody out because I drew some urine over there. Sorry. Okay, grow up. You're going to see a whole lot worse than I thought, right, guys? Okay, so you might as well get ready, okay? Because you're going to get to experience that. You're going to get to clean some of that up, right? If you have a kid, you have to duck it too, right? You got a little boy, right? You make a little brother, change the diaper. Okay, come on, that's gotta get quick. But anyway, reproductive system, I'm gonna be nice here, right? To make male and female babies so the species can continue. That's really important, right? And right, the hormones are super important, right? To maintain the body, right? And there are differences in the way we think and operate, right? I mean, I love that book, like, Venus, Women from Mars, or vice versa. I mean, we do men, male and females are different. And we're actually covering this in Sunday in church. But remember, it says in Genesis, and I hadn't thought about this because the leader of the class said, what do y'all think about it? And I said, well, I'm thinking about the biology there where Adam and Eve ate the apple, the fruit of the good. And then it says that she would have tremendous more pains of childbearing because, she brought the fruit to him. And of course, he ate it real quick, and he had done it, she hadn't done it too. I'm no doubt he would have been ate it too. But anyway, and then we all had to live in this world now and die and toil in the soil and all that. So there's some cool metaphors there, but this is a super cool system. Okay. All right. Now, I'm running short on time, so I'm just going to let you look at this real quick. Body orientation. You need to know these terms. There'll be a couple of these on the test, right? But it's not going to be 100% of your test. But then make sure you know anterior, posterior, superior, inferior. Proximal is closer, distal means farther away. Medial to the middle, lateral to the side. Okay, so these are just some really cool terms that y'all are going to have to chart in the hospital, right? EMTs, everybody uses this, right? Radiology, man, we do the lateral X-ray of the posterior portion of the blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you might as well learn these things, okay? But these are pretty easy, right? Regional terms, you're going to see this a lot of times, and now they got them with the iPads where they chart. Where are you hurting at? My buddy, what? Pulled his glute, right? The glute, so he's hurting right this rear end, right? Okay. And he pulled one, so he's hurting pretty bad, right? Back of the knees, popliteal, okay? Bottom of the foot is plantar. Okay, bad story. 7th grade, I go to basketball camp. Remember, I'm going to be an NBA ball player, right? Didn't work out, right? So I went to Northeast basketball camp. I went to Old West basketball camp. I was 5 foot tall in the 5th grade, and when I got my diploma, I was 5 foot tall. Yeah, I actually had delayed puberty, but we were so stupid and poor we didn't know to go to the doctor. So I didn't have puberty in my first year of college. Okay, FYI. Hope God lets me live a lot longer than everybody else, since I'm behind everybody right here 4 years. But anyway, oh, by the way, guess what the theme of our senior year? How many of y'all remember in high school y'all had the beauty review? Guess what our theme was? Because you have a theme for beauty review, right? Y'all remember the TV show Fantasy Island? I give you one guess what my line was. I thought the old one was the midget and the giant guy. I walked out in a suit and tie and went, "Deflame, deflame, deflame," and all you good looking girls walked through a plane with his name. And the ag teacher was 6'6", and he was the host. That's the only time I've ever done the acting. So that's my claim to fame. All tapes have been destroyed. There's no pictures of it. It's all gone. Anyway, so I go to the doctor in 8th grade after one of the basketball camps, and I got warts on the bottom of my foot. Now remember, I was raised on a farm. I never forget this doctor looked at my foot, and this is something you never want to hear from a doctor. You know, with me? We're about to wrap up the class. He went, "Man, that's the worst I've ever seen." So they're looking at your cancer and scan. "Man, that's the worst I've ever seen." It's just not a good thing. He said, "Those are the worst set of plantar warts I've ever seen in my life on my foot." And I went, "Damn, I hate I was raised on a farm. Planters, plant corn, plant." And he went, "Short, fat, dumb, white boy. Planter means bottom of the foot, not that you was raised on a farm and planted corn, you fool." But I learned that day, that term, okay, it means bottom of the foot. Then he gave me some acid to burn off, and I ended up getting infected in a razor. So I said, "So don't ever give me a razor and acid. I'll burn a hole to all the way to my foot, to my bones." Anyway, so planter's warts, okay, pretty cool. Buccal, here's a fun one. Here's a good one. I used to have a quiz in lab, and you'd have to do this. You had to label this picture on the first day. I mean, come on, you get to label naked girl. That's pretty cool, right? Or naked, I think it was naked boy in the old book. It was a boy. And so girls would go home if they're married you could get you some Post-it and label your husband right, and then unlabeled, that could lead to a child in 12 months or 9 months, right? Anyway, so then the next week your assignment was to call your husband right after lab and sound in your most sexy voice and go, "Honey, take a bath. I'm on my way home. I'm going to come and I'm going to kiss you." He would be very excited if he would come in and kiss him on the cheek and ask him where supper at. Okay, so anyway, a little fun there, right? But so beautiful is the cheek. We come out of the gutters on y'all. Okay, nothing. We haven't got the other chapter yet. Okay, there's all the parts. No fun. Okay, here's my X-ray technology. Look at this: planes, a bit sagittal, scan of the brain, transverse, frontal. Look at that. So all we can do with these MRIs and with this new technology, amazing, right? We can do all that. Why does it have to sound so loud, though? Can they cut that sound down? I had to have one of those done for my knee. That's gonna eat you or something, right? They roll you through the. Anybody else had an MRI? Okay, y'all know what I'm talking. The rest of us, everybody else is going like, "He's lost his mind." No, go get you one, right? It's weird. So get like some headphones. Okay, look at that. 0.5% of medical errors occurred when the technician or the LPN or the nurse wrote the wrong thing on the chart. Okay, so it's a good way to end this fast. I think we're at the end of this. Yeah, I think that's good. Then body cavities, y'all can figure that out. I'm going to stop there on this. We'll go into chapter 2 next time. Okay, but here's another thing I like about this book. Look at this. This is hard to explain. We got just a few minutes left. Membranes. This gives people a lot of trouble. There is a membrane called the viscerous layer that touches all your internal organs. And in the heart, there is a parietal layer that's outside that, and there is a fluid chamber in between. That is the hardest thing to explain to somebody. The reason God did this is that heart can beat and not get carpet burn. And that brilliant, so it can move, and it moves that membrane on it, so it doesn't. And I use it like a slide, like a strawberry from somebody sliding second base, right? We've all skidded on carpet or whatever, burn. So God don't want no paper, no burning of the heart rubbing itself. And I never could figure out how to explain that to somebody until Amberman put this in her book. I give her credit for that. Take a water balloon, stick the heart down in it. The rubber touching the heart is the visceral, and the outside layer with the water in between is the parietal. So all our internal organs have this visceral layer. If you've ever played around with chicken livers, I've used them fishing. I've never fried chicken livers. I've eaten fried chicken livers. I like fried chicken livers. But you ever play with liver, like go fishing and use it for bait, and after you play with it a few minutes, it just turns into jello. That little shimmy line, that's the visceral, that little shiny layer on the outside. It's the visceral. And when you skin a deer, the inside of the deer has the peripheral lines the internal cavity of the body of the deer. So some of this, you may have seen this on that. But that's a great example. I'm really impressed with her example of that. Every book puts the chainsaw pictures in here, which are useless. If you see this at the yard, go on to the next body, right? That first thing. Right? I mean, I don't know why they got obsessed with this, but look. Here we go, chainsaw on the chest. The chainsaw lower body here. It's just cut them right down the middle. Anyway, that's useless, but just something to look at. There's some more MRI pictures, okay? Good stuff here. All this we could do. Super cool stuff here. Some overall theme here, a couple of words to use quite a bit in here, and all the chapters we'll just throw it out here, is the body has a lot of these core principles. We see feedback loops, which is super important. Like we were just talking about the hormones. It's all about feedback. So if you make too much of something in the body, then we need to cut it off. We don't make, that would be stupid to make 50 pounds of something we don't dig one out, right? So a lot of feedback loops. There's a relationship between structure and function. We use gradients in the body all the time, and we have cell-to-cell communication. Our whole body works off negative feedback, okay? Negative feedback is super important. And that means if you make enough X, then an enzyme is cut off, so we don't make any more X. Okay, I mean, I have people sometimes that get confused, so they use a real life one beyond this. And I'll end the lecture with I'll go back. I've got an error in my mind that I saw in a book one time. I'll tell y'all this will be cool. But has everybody been on a date? Okay, but y'all know, you know somebody's been on a date. Okay. You ever been in a movie with a guy or girl, and the guy, maybe put his arm on your shoulder, right? And you don't want him touching you yet, right? Or maybe never. That's negative feedback. And he pulls his arm right now if he's a gentleman, right? Okay. Now I've never experienced that on a date. Okay, and I didn't get it. Nobody got it. Nothing. Didn't have nothing 9 months later. So I'm just saying. But sometimes you want to go to a scary movie, right? And cuddle, so right, it's kind of cool. Okay. Now, positive feedback, which is really rare in the body. What's an example of positive feedback in the body? I think it's going to mention it here. Positive feedback. And actually, the heat cooling system works off this negative feedback, right? If it gets too hot, air comes on. If it gets too cold, the heat comes on, right? Great example. The thermostat. Great example. Negative. Your brain works like that. So what's the example of positive feedback without you read it? The impact 3 in the body. A couple are dirty or PG-13, the rest of them are G. Let's do the G first. Coagulation of blood. When blood touches anything other than simple squamous lining, the blood vessels, it coagulates. It's a positive feedback. So when we have blood clotting, when you cut yourself, we want localized clotting here, but not in my heart or brain that kills me. So that's positive feedback, okay? And the other one is when a woman goes into labor. My favorite. You're gonna be like 8, 9 months pregnant, and all of a sudden you're gonna think, is that the sardine, peanut butter and jelly tomato sandwich I just had? Did you get weird food flavors that you want to eat when you're pregnant? You get some crazy food combinations, you just gotta have it, or is that indigestion or am I in labor? Well, that baby decides it's time, and it sends a chemical message to the brain that says, bring it on. Then you release a hormone called oxytocin that goes down to your ovary and causes a little butterfly. Then it gets harder and harder and harder and more oxytocin till you chunk the kid out your vagina. Okay, is that clear? That's all PG-13. It's all books. I'm using terms in the book. Please don't go tell my boss today. I don't want to hear it today. Is that amazing? I mean, it really is amazing, right? And we can't predict it. We don't know when it's going to happen. We have a due date. You may be 2 weeks early or a month late, right? And the other positive feedback is what got you pregnant to begin with, right? Playing with loaded guns. What happens? Okay, think about that. Okay, y'all know that story here. I won't go into PG-13, right? But that's the other one is the male reproductive system when he produces the sperm that is going to make the baby pregnant. So pretty wild, right? To me, it's really cool. But everything else in the body, all of our blood levels, temperatures, all the hormones, chemicals in our body are negative feedback. Okay. There we go. There's coagulation. Labor is that one, right? There's positive feedback, oxytocin, and we even use pig toxin or synthetic oxytocin to induce labor. My wife had to have that on our first kid. Kid wasn't going to come out, man. She was happy in there, right? Coming out, right? And we had to go and induce labor with this chemical, right? And that's pretty cool. Okay, and then let's see, just some misconceptions here. Structure and function. Look at that. There's your epithelium lining of the lung where COVID's killing us. This would kill you if it was that thick, right? So then, where the gas exchange occurs,
skin is like that thick so that you can't move or things get in easily. Okay? And we use concentration gradients. Temperature spreads out, right? We use the heart pumping blood pressure to push blood through the body, right? We do a lot of pressure gradients in our body. And then we have cell-to-cell communication, right? And this is one of my favorite ones in the book here, but the way our nervous system works, we were just talking about this, I will send electrical impulse down this line and release a chemical called a neurotransmitter at this junction called the synapses, right? And those, almost all of our illegal and legal drugs work by mimicking neurotransmitters in the body. So heroin, and we don't know how heroin came from that poppy seed, right? But it mimics the neurotransmitters to make you not feel pain. So it stops pain transmission. So you feel nothing. You shoot heroin, you go into like 4-hour coma. And for some people, that's very addictive too. That it builds addictive patterns in the brain. Okay? So you'll see these little pictures, but this is a good little thing. So you see this, it means what? Feedback loops are involved. You see this, it means what? Structure, function, match, right? Cogs have to fit just right. And that is the picture for core gradients where there's some kind of movement of something from high to low. And then when you see the little thing there is cell-to-cell communication. We do not have electricity arcing across cells like spark plugs, like lightning, right? And if you cut the, cut the light off and look at your husband tonight, he don't light up like a current tree, right? If we were having arcing, we'd see that, right? Possibly, right? We'd be lighting up like fireflies or something, right? So we use neurotransmitters to mainly communicate. All right, pretty good chapter 1. I kind of skipped some of it. Y'all can do the terminology, right? I mean, we don't have to read everything. Y'all read boys and girls. Okay, so question. Let me give you a good one on that era. So I do count out the spelling. And we will do some quizzes and labs, okay? Because I'm going to do a little histology quiz. And the histology midterm, you're going to have to spell these tissues, okay? And what we found out is a lot of that. I actually saw an article a couple of years ago where a big hospital like Baptist, that was like another part of the country, made all their doctors go back and take English comp to learn how to write because they killed some patients. They wrote a prescription, and the pharmacist couldn't make it out, thought it was blah 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 blah, and it was ooga, and it killed some people. So sometimes I have found that you may not be the smart person in the room. And by the way, I'm just going to make it clear today that this is the 82nd consecutive section that I am the ugliest person in the room. Okay, just make that very clear. It's going to be fun. A bunch of good-looking people. We're going to teach a lot of young, looking people. I'm going to be like a vampire. I'm going to steal y'all's energy, okay? Because I'm ugly and living with it. Okay, it's all good. All right. But anyway, so y'all got a lot going on here. Okay, but think about this, man. Think about this. This happened down in Florida, Orlando, about 25 years ago. Dude had cancer in his leg. Had like huge tumor and it had not spread to his rest of his body. So he went in to have his leg amputated.
Oh, yeah, they cut the wrong one.
Yeah, this RN had a hangover or whatever, and she walked over. Let's just say she wrote my line here. Let's say paper says cut right arm off, right leg off. So it's my right? Now you already been knocked down a little bit, so they shaved that right leg and put a big, magic marker. Here's where you need to cut, doctor. Doctor comes in, he's supposed to check the chart, but Robin's his best nurse. Ain't got time for that. I got a tea time at 1 o'clock. She's done got it all marked up. Sit it down, done shredded it, burned it to the incinerator. When this person's about to wake up, some other nurse catches it. And this is another bad thing that I hope you never experience. You wake up at the hospital and there's a bunch of people in suits standing around. This is never going to be good for you. So they woke this person up and they said, Tommy, yes, we made a mistake and we cut your left leg off accidentally. And we just fired that nurse and the doctor's going to have to go to mandatory court order rehab or something. But they always file the nurse accused doctor. This is the position y'all chose. We're going to go right back in and get that right leg off now. So we're just going to put you back down, okay? And we've done destroyed your leg. We can't put it back on. Sorry. We'll talk to you later after surgery. Bye-bye. There's a dude in Florida who owns a hospital now. He doesn't have to work, but he ain't got no legs. Okay, you do that about twice, and you're through as a doctor. If you're involved one time as a nurse, you're done. You have to change your name, go to nursing school in Iowa, start over. So all my point is this: I'm not trying to be cute. I'm just saying, get the easy stuff, right? Make sure you get. And I can tell y'all that over my 30 years here, I've had a lot of B students, maybe a C student or two, that were great nurses because they had common sense. They brought the raincoat on the day. Brandon, I like this girl here. She got common sense, right? Ladies, excuse me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They didn't worry.
They wear a swimsuit during a snowstorm, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, common sense goes a long way, and you gotta have physical skills in nursing, because they have checkoffs, right? Where you get 3 tries and you're out of the program. So if you can't get blood pressure right, you get thrown out the first month, that's the first checkout for blood pressure. So make sure you got the physical ability to get the easy stuff right, to go with the hard stuff. Okay, and any questions before we get out of here, because I've been running my mouth too much. So fire away. Any questions? So yes, ma'am.
So, do you have any vacations during these classes? You just do the work online?
Well, okay, well, you can't have too much vacation because you can only miss 20% of your classes in Northwest. So we're only meeting like 19 times. So 20 times 20% of 19 is what? 3.8. So you can miss about two. You can miss about 2 lectures and about 1 lab before it comes out. So you got something going on? You gonna be gone?
I just have a planned trip, like.
Well, I think I talked to you, didn't I? I talked to you, or I thought somebody had a plan for you.
It's the exam days. So,
Yeah, it's like the whole last week.
it's the 21st or the 24th.
That may not work. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. So you gonna be gone that whole week?
Yes, sir, yeah.
That may not work here. I don't know. We have to figure that out. Yeah, because that's gonna be over the limit, I suspect. Now, I might, could you leave on Wednesday? I could probably give you the 2 tests on Wednesday or something. You do that, maybe we do that.
I didn't talk to you live.
Okay, we're talking about it. Okay, anybody else? That's a good one, yeah, because like I said, I'm sorry, but at least we're staying on first day, right? So we get up to them, but I can do so much, but we have a policy, we have to attend 80% of class. So I'll have to do the calculator on that, but no, I don't know, man, that's like missing a third of it, right?
Right.
A 4, that's a 4. So that's 25%, that's over that, I think. But maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, I might look to it early. Anybody else? Let's talk. I can fix your schedule real quick before we go. We do that as we can. All right, y'all get out of here. Any questions? Look, seriously, look. I don't mean to, if I come off short sometimes, I'm sorry, I don't mean that way, right? But I got this quick wit that sometimes gets me in trouble, right? For example, this morning, and during all this, look, somebody, not you, somebody else called, I talked to for right. And he got so ugly to me on the phone, he's like, well, I just don't like it when y'all close these things up faster, and I want my chemistry at 10:30. And I told him, well, you know, welcome to life. That's what I told him. I said, we had 3 people in your class, and it didn't make it. I'm sorry, we can't let a class go with 3, right? I have chemistry at the soda. I thought I told you that, didn't I? And he just didn't hear me say the time. Anyway, so we go. All right, so y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all at 1:30. Is that right? Get my story straight. 1:30?
Yeah.
Okay. I hate this 10:25. It's weird start time. We're trying to get the math to work out. Yeah, so 1:30, 207, second floor.
I'll talk to you when it gets closer. I know, I'm literally doing my first last day.
Okay. Okay.
I could take it early.
Why don't you just take them both Friday? That's no problem for you. It's just I can't make up a week.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, just do it Friday. I got that out here. You can just, I got plenty of work in my office. You just take that because it won't matter and there's nothing you can, I don't think you can tell anybody what really happened. So just put them both on Friday. And I'm planning this. Maybe make that option for everybody. Because I don't mind doing that. I can do. I just think a week's gonna be hard. Okay, no problem. But I'll work with these folks. We can do that. That's no problem. Yes, ma'am. Anything else? I didn't scare you too bad, right?
No,